All right, well, we welcome back Hogan Gidley, the press secretary for the Trump 2020 campaign. Hogan, good to see you again.
Thanks so much.
All right, well, I want to play a little clip for you of Joe Biden addressing the violence that we're seeing around the nation. Oh, wait a second. There isn't one, actually, because he hasn't addressed the violence, Hogan. You know, it's really interesting. We have, and not to be smug here, but we really haven't seen Joe Biden or Democrats really address the violence that we're seeing around the nation. And I almost think that they hope that if they're just silent on it and only focus on the peaceful protests, that somehow it'll just magically disappear. I think back to what Nancy Pelosi said, people will do what they do. But I want to ask you, how does the Trump campaign continue to position itself in the light of focusing on what they talked about last night, being the president of the people, the president of everyone? And that also does include, of course, Jacob Blake.
It does, and it's interesting because the Democrat convention itself did not address a single time any of the death, the destruction, the riots, the looting, none of it. And what makes it even, more ironic or odd is that all of this is occurring in Democrat-controlled cities. In fact, you had some of the mayors speaking to camera, some of the governors speaking to camera, not addressing any of the things that are going on in their own cities. It was disgraceful. How do you turn a blind eye to what is going on? Of course, the president supports the First Amendment. The right to peaceably assemble, the right to protest is yours in the Constitution of the United States. But your level of anger does not dictate how destructive you can become. There is no way you can accept our American cities devolving into this type of criminality, this type of lawlessness, beating innocent Americans within an inch of their lives simply for protecting the businesses they themselves actually built. And one more thing, it's the Biden campaign whose own employees gave money to the fund to make sure those criminals got out of jail. They didn't give money to the business owners who lost everything, who actually go to prop up the community in some of these inner cities and employ people and give them livelihoods. No, they didn't give money to the businesses to rebuild. They gave them to the criminals. That tells you all you need to know.
It was interesting. The president did highlight that last night during the speech, and it was something that I had heard for the first time on the national stage. It was good that he brought it up. But let me ask you this: that the so-called peaceful protests that we've seen throughout the nation, according to CNN and other left-leaning networks, has been largely confined to big cities, right? So it's Detroit, Boston, Washington, D.C., L.A., New York. But now you've got Kenosha, Wisconsin on the map, not exactly a large city. How much of a message are you bringing to the suburban towns and cities saying it could be you next if it's a Biden administration, something that the president kind of lent into last night?
Absolutely. Look, there's a reason that a lot of these police unions that supported Joe Biden in the past are now all on board with Donald Trump, because he understands that he has their back. He's going to fund them to the fullest extent. He's going to protect them when they're under siege and under attack. And he's going to want the brave men and women of law enforcement to actually do the job that they signed up to do, to protect and serve. And the American people deserve that. How often does the government overreach? But when there's a function they're supposed to do by law, which is protect those who can't protect themselves, somehow at the local level, these Democrat governors and these Democrat mayors are just going silent and not allowing them, the folks who are on the front lines, to protect the citizenry. It's a problem. And in the small towns, you see that. Now, all of a sudden in Wisconsin, we have the situation you're talking about. It is coming to a town near you. And with Joe Biden, he would put all of these mayors and all of these governors that are allowing the lawlessness into positions of power in the federal government, meaning what you see now is what you're going to get from the federal government. They will not be there to protect your families, your city streets, your towns, your buildings, your churches. They're not going to do it because they feel like the chaos, if they can keep that chaos in place, it helps them politically. I said that before, and it's a sad state of affairs, but it's absolutely true.
All right, Hogan, thank you. Thanks for sticking around and giving us the update. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing where you guys do head.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the time, y'all.
Well, more riots and looting across the country. We're going to speak with Congressman Brian Stile of Wisconsin about what's happening in Kenosha and how that might affect the vote this coming November.